Imagine living in the 1800s. Suddenly, all of a sudden, your quiet town is filled with huge factories, trains blast through the countryside, and cities grow crowded overnight. Everyone's talking about progress and how these changes will make life better. But for many people, this new world is hard. It's difficult. The realism era began when a time of life was hard for millions. People worked long hours in dangerous jobs. Families barely even had enough to eat. It felt like everything was changing way too fast to understand. In this documentary, we'll find out what caused all this anxiety and how artists, writers, and thinkers fought back. They wanted to show what life was really like, not just for the rich and the powerful, but for regular people like you and me. Section 1: The First Shock. Revolutions of 1848. The first huge warning sign of this unrest came in 1848. All across Europe, people rose up in waves of revolutions. As historian Bennett Sherry tells us, these revolts were started because of food shortages, rising prices, and unemployment, and frustration with governments that would only serve the wealthy and do nothing for the poor. Students, workers, and middle class reformers all wanted it to change. They wanted more fair representation, better working conditions, and way more rights. The revolutions mostly failed, but they showed us that Europe was under a lot of pressure, since society was changing so fast that people felt left behind. This feeling of instability became one of the main causes of the realism era. Section 2: A New Economic System. After 1848, industrialization exploded even more. Historian Eric Hobsbawm calls this period the Age of Capital. Factories grew, railroads connected major cities together, and global trade grew. While some people became extremely wealthy, most workers faced harsh conditions throughout their work and daily life. Wages were low, the hours were long, safety basically didn't even exist. Families lived in small, overcrowded rooms in polluted cities. The gap between the rich and the poor grew more than ever. This economic system created fear and resentment. Many people wondered if modern society had actually improved their lives at all. Section 3: Real Life in the Industrial City. One of the best depictions of industrial life came from Frederick Engels' book, The Condition of the Working Class. In England, Engels lived in Manchester, one of the largest industrial cities, and he wrote about what he saw, not what he heard. And he described neighborhoods filled with pollution and sewage. He saw children working long hours in dangerous factories. He met families who could barely survive due to low wages. Disease spreads quickly in these crowded conditions. To Engels, these problems came from the way the economic system was designed. Workers were treated as tools, not people. The world of suffering and instability fully shaped the realism movement. Realist authors and writers wanted to show the truth about the lives of the ordinary people instead of just feeding what the rich wanted to show everybody in the world. Section 4: A Social Divide. Why poverty happened. During this time, not everyone agreed about what caused poverty or social unrest, but in 1859, Samuel Smiles published Self-Help, which showed that personal effort and discipline were what you needed to succeed. Smiles believed that anyone could improve their life if they worked hard enough for it. His message was very popular with the middle and upper classes because it suggested that society was fair, but not so much on the lower class side. For workers living in the slums and working dangerous jobs, Smiles' ideas did not match the reality at all. Many people were trapped in poverty because of their low wages, unsafe working conditions, and economic status or economic systems they had no control of. This disagreement highlighted the growing division inside society and increased the tension of the realist era. Section 5: The Birth of Realism. As these problems grew, artists began to reject the unrealistic style of earlier art. Instead, they turned to realism, a movement that focused on how everyday life looked. Art historian Arnold Hauser explains that realism developed because of old artistic traditions no longer represented what people were actually experiencing. Realists painted workers in fields and factories. They showed hard labor, poverty, and the struggles of daily life. Writers created stories about families fighting to survive, communities affected by addiction, and people who were pushed to their limits by modern society. Section 6: Zola and the Realist Mindset. One of the most important realist writers was Émile Zola. In his book, The Experimental Novel, Zola explained that writers should study society in the same way scientists study nature. He believed that literature should reveal how social and economic conditions shape people's everyday lives. Zola wrote about miners, factory workers, and families dealing with poverty and addiction. His writings showed people that often struggled because of the forces they had no control over. Also, Zola argued that art should show these problems so society could better understand them. Conclusion: why this era matters. The Realism era was shaped by social conflict, economic change, and the experience of everyday people. Industrialization created progress, but as well as it also created suffering. The poor faced unsafe jobs, overcrowded cities, and very little support, which caused the social conflict throughout the era of the Realist era. Writers and artists of the Realism era believed that these issues needed to be seen and understood, instead of ignored and blown over. Their work still matters today. It reminds us progress will always come at a cost, so society must pay attention to the people who will be left behind. The questions raised during this realism era about fairness, opportunity, and justice remain important today.